Hi, this is Kylie. Welcome to my studio. So today in this video I am continuing my wild positivity journey, and the prompt I've chosen this time is truth. So I start by selecting a few of my Neo colours. These were just the colours that I was drawn to today. And I'm just going to lay these down on the page, and I try to blend them with a piece of wet tissue. But because the page was pre-gessoed and it was a clear kind of rough gesso, this cloth wasn't the best to actually blend it with. So I end up taking a paintbrush and just using some water and my fingers to blend it. So I've put this process on double speed because, as I often do with positivity things, I work quite slowly. So I've actually left this whole video at double speed. So, truth. I was surprised when I saw that this was the prompt that I'd chosen, because I wrote these prompts way back at the start of the year. And I thought, do I really want to be considering this at this point in the journey? But then realised, yes, it's important, the time is right. And I'm not actually going to say a lot about it, because if you're on this journey with me, then I invite you to think about what truth means for you. But the phrase that kept coming to my mind was that it's important to live your truth. It's important for me to live my truth. Now, because that phrase kept going through my head, I decided to do a little bit of research on it, and I found a few interesting things, but to be honest, I haven't absorbed all of them yet, so I'm not actually going to comment on them. But what I would say very simply about truth for me is it's understanding the principles that I hold and understanding the moral values that I hold, the things that I want to live by, and then actually living that, not doing something different because I think I would fit in better that way, or because I don't want to be honest to myself about those truths, what those truths are. So I think it's very important to walk, to talk, to live your truth. And for me, in this page today, there was something about a simplicity of the page, and that's the way that it really worked out. So I took some white paint because I felt those colours were just a bit too bright. And all I'm doing here is trying to get the fibres off that small piece of cloth that I'd used right at the beginning. I then start to add a bit of the colour back in because I'd lost that. Because the Neo Colour 2s are water soluble, even just the application of the white paint made them spread a bit further. So I'm trying to just sharpen up the colours a little bit more. I do want them blended to an extent, but by the same token, I do want to see that there are different colours in there, that it's not one flat colour. So yes, this page turns out very simple. It didn't take me long. I think it was only about 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes maybe. And, that's okay. Some pages come together quicker than others. So adding a bit more white, again just wanting to tone a little bit of that colour down, and this time all I'm doing is taking my brayer and working the white paint in. It just spreads it slightly differently than if I was using my fingers. It gives it this nice kind of chalky looking effect. And it always reminds me, and I've mentioned this before when I've used this kind of technique, of some of the kind of frescoes that you see, especially ones that I've seen across Europe in old monasteries, where there's paintings on the outside walls, but the plaster, I guess, is starting to peel away. And there's just something to me that's really quite interesting and quite calming about that. And this technique I use quite often. So I just keep working that in until I get it to the point where I'm happy with it. And of course at this stage I give it a good dry. So I want to use a stamp, and I'm using this Stays On ink pad. Now this particular pad is starting to get quite dry, but that's what I want. I don't want it to be a big bold stamped pattern, and that's why I stamped it off to the side, just to see how it was going to stamp. And I'm just going to use this one stamp in several pages across the page. I think that's the only one where I do the whole stamp. I think most of the rest of it I just do bits of the stamp. Now, why I used this stamp, I don't know, just the prompt of truth drew me to it. And you see there that I'm just applying it lightly, because I want that kind of broken look to it. I want that kind of faded effect to it. And again, to me, that fits in with the kind of background that I've created. So at this point I decide that I want to add in just a little bit more colour, not a lot, but I don't want to use the Neo colours. So I actually get out my Inktense pencils. And again, these are water soluble. So I just want to bring out a little bit more of the kind of green, and this one, the teal, just seems to fit well with what I'm trying to do. And with this I start by going around the border, just to frame the page a little. Although, as you'll see in a moment, I actually take some water, I think mainly just on my fingers, and just blend it out a bit. But it's still there, just that slightly different colour around the edges. But again, trying to pull it in and blend it with the rest of the page. So I want it to be there, but not to stand out and be obvious. And I think all that this is going to do is, when I put my word on, it helps draw the eye into the page. Now you see that today I've used my hands, my fingers a lot. I often do that in my art. It seems to connect me to my art even more closely than when I use a paintbrush. So here, just doing a tiny bit of outlining, of shading to an extent. Again, just bringing that colour a little bit into the page just by going around the stamped image, just certain edges on it. One thing I hadn't done today was to put on my art guard. So as soon as I finished this, I went off and gave my hands a really good wash. Didn't want anything being absorbed into my skin. So again, giving it a dry, I'm now going to take my alphabet stamps. I'm just going to use the lowercase letters. I am just going to stamp directly onto my page. You'll see there's a little bit of the square round T there. I think it happens with that as well. That doesn't bother me. I could go in with a bit of paint and try and lift that, but it doesn't bother me. So I'm glad to be back on this wild positivity journey. I missed last month because I wasn't filming in July, but I will try and do a second this month. So thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.